So as a part of the racing weekends, we have a garage tour. So shortly some guests will be arriving, and I'll explain a little bit about the garage operations and the motorcycle. Welcome. So in British Superbikes, there are 2,000cc categories. There's the super stock class, which is the stock part gives it away. It's fairly standard. The bikes are very much more closer to what you would buy from the dealership. There's a few parts you can change to make them more racy, like we changed the bodywork, brake pads, tyres, few basic things to make it track ready. But more or less, it's very much in line with the bike you buy from the dealership. And then you've got the Superbike, which these are. This is mine on this side and Lee's on that side. This is the same as World Superbike in that you can change almost everything. So it's probably easier to say what we keep as opposed to what we change. But yeah, so the engine and chassis is the same as standard. You can't modify those. But everything else around that is changed. You know, radiator, triple clamps, forks, wheels, brakes, brake calipers, exhaust system, swing arm, subframe, fuel tank. Yeah, it doesn't end. Everything is changed. The thing that really separates the British Superbike from the World Superbike is the electronics. So in World Superbike, they've got launch control, traction control, slide control, anti-wheelie, all these sort of rider aids that assist the motorbike in keeping the tyre getting grip and keeping the bike behaving well with the huge amount of horsepower they have. These Superbikes are reaching, some claim, around 240 horsepower. So that's a lot of horsepower to drive through one tyre and not have it wheelie and slide and carry on. So those electronic aids really assist the bike to be calm and predictable. So in British Superbikes, that electronics packages have been ruled out, so we're not allowed to use any of that. And the reason is to try and reduce the cost. The ECU unit that we use is from Motec. It's a controlled system that's across the board, so every single bike in the Superbike category has the same ECU and the same ability to change and adjust and control. So it makes it a bit more of a simple program to use and a little bit more cheaper to buy and operate. So the only thing we can do is sort of like calm the power down a little bit because the throttle isn't old style with cables. It's an electronic throttle. So basically, when you open the throttle, an electronic decision is made on how far the butterflies open, how much power you get. So we can control how the power feels. We can reduce the power a little bit. So let's say if I gave it 90% throttle, it might only open the throttle open to 80% or something like that to try and calm the power down in a certain area. But that's about the most we can manage to change the power delivery. The other area that we work on is engine brake control. So you'll know when you go back a gear in your car and you feel the sense of the car slowing down even if you haven't put your foot on the brake. That's what we call engine brake. So if you have the engine brake too strong, when you jump on the brakes on a motorcycle, the energy all transfers over to the front. You see the bike pitch, and the back tyre becomes very light. So in that moment, if the engine brake's too strong, the rear tyre will start to slide. So that means you've got too much engine brake. And then if you've got the other way where you haven't got enough engine brake, you'll be braking and it'll feel like the bike's still trying to push forward even though you're trying to brake against that force. So that's another area that we work on all the time to try and adjust and get the engine brake controlled so the back wheel slowing down is about the same speed as the brakes and the bike is trying to slow down. So it all works in harmony, and that's the best and quickest way to enter the corner. So I think everyone knows how important social media has become. So we've got the computer desks here. They do Instagram, Facebook, emails, all that sort of thing. No, I'm just joking. There's a lot of sensors on the bike, things that are probably pretty obvious like water temperature and oil pressure and stuff like that. But then there's stuff that's more important to setting up the bike, like wheel speeds, brake pressure, and suspension travel, and there's a lot of information that we can take off the bike. And that can only be taken off the bike once it arrives back in the garage. There's no information that we can draw from the bike whilst it's going around on track. So as soon as we come into the pits, there's a lead that's attached to the bike. That information we download to the computer. and the technicians will look at the data and look at you know, how fast I'm going into the corner, how much brake pressure I'm using, what RPM the engine's at, whether it's pulling or efficiently in the right RPM, and we'll make adjustments to whether it be the gearing or the suspension, or even they can tell me I'm just doing a poor job. And then we go about making changes to try and improve the bike and improve the lap time. So when we come in and out of the garage all the time, it's not necessarily because something's broken or something's gone wrong with the bike, we need to repair it. It's more to the point that I'm coming back with information about the bike. My job is to deliver bad news. So it's my job every time is to say where the bad points on the bike are, or something that's stopping me from going quicker. And so I come into the garage, explain how the bike feels, and then we'll go about making some changes to the bike to try and improve the grip or the handling or the attitude of the bike to make it turn better, or something of this nature to try and improve the lap time. And that'll always normally be something around the suspension, because you know the first thing in contact with the ground is the tyres. Those tyres are the same for every bike in the pit lane. We all have to run the same tyres, so there's not really a lot we can change there. The next thing supporting the bike is the suspension. So we'll make changes to the suspension to try and keep that tyre in contact with the ground as best and as long as we can, and that'll improve our chances of keeping good tyre wear and improving the lap time. So there's a few other things that are maybe a little bit more personal touches. So you know, say footrest position, handlebar position, that's just moved to suit your comfort and your personal preferences. And always you'll notice on a motorcycle the rear brake normally occupies this position on the right hand footrest. That's how most motorcycles come. But we moved the rear brake from the foot up to the handlebar. I use my thumb to operate the rear brake. That's because I feel like there's you have better control and better touch with your hands than you do with your feet. Your feet can be a bit clumsy. So to try and you know, apply rear brake in a nice smooth manner is quite hard with your foot, but you have far better touch of feel and sensation with your hand. So I can control the rear brake with my hand better than I can with my foot. And the reason we use the rear brake so much and it's become so important is because we don't have any of those electronic assistance. So to try and stop the bike from wheeling, there's going to be no electronics that come in and stop the bike from trying to wheelie. We've just got to do that either with rolling off the throttle or applying more rear brake to stop it from wheeling so much. So there are systems where you can have both the thumb brake and the rear brake on at the same time, but because I almost never use my foot now, I've got so used to using my thumb. In case of the unfortunate crash or something like that, it just makes the bike far quicker for the mechanics to repair if there's no extra stuff there that might have got broken in a fall. So it just makes the repair work really fast and simple. All the things that I mentioned that we can change on this bike is about trying to go faster. You know, everything we change is about doing fast lap times, but then also there's a lot of components are made to be lighter or stronger or even just faster to repair after a crash. If you had to pull a road bike apart and put it back together, it would probably take over a day. You know, and that was with a really sharp mechanic. Where we don't have that sort of luxury of time, so we minimize the bike to obviously be lighter and more efficient for racing, but the benefit of that is how quickly the bike can be repaired. You'll see that the bodywork of the bike comes off with just a few fasteners, and a lot of these parts are made to be quick change, and then we end up with the package that we have here. Yeah, quite a lot going on. I love talking about motorcycles, so I could sit here and talk about motorbikes a lot longer, but this is actually a workspace for these guys. They're in the middle of their work duties, so I'll have to wrap it up there. Hopefully you've learned something new about the bike, or I've just refreshed something you already knew before. And we'll be over in hospitality for a chat show later on, and we'll get photographs and sign some stuff if you like, and chat more about generally how the day's been going. So hopefully you enjoyed the garage tour. You're welcome.
can join our DAO Racing hospitality and experience the garage tour and chat show as part of the package. For more details, check out www.daoracing.im.